Okay, so chapter 4-3 and 4-9 kind of go together. It's all about natural versus anthropogenic air pollution, and 4-9 talks about hydrocarbons, which is a type of air pollution. What's interesting is in the 1960s, or sorry, I should say prior to 1960, no one cared about air pollution. In fact, there's a story in the textbook that talked about how in 1948, there was a town in Pennsylvania where the air pollution was so bad for 5 days that 6,000 people got sick and 18 people died. And you know what? People still didn't care about air pollution then. I mean, it wasn't until 12 years later in the 1960 that people started really thinking about, oh, we really got to do something about this air pollution. And eventually in 1977, well, technically in 1970, they created what was known as the Clean Air Act. And then in 1977, they really upped the ante on it and put really strict amendments in there. And then they did it again in 1989. And then they keep continuing to do that over and over and over to make more and more requirements for the Clean Care Act or Clean Air Act. But air pollution is a big thing. It's very, 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 very dangerous. In fact, sometimes if you watch the news, it'll talk about air quality index. So the air quality index is between 0 and 50. That's good. Okay, 51 to 100 is moderate. It's when you start to go over 100 that it becomes bad. So once you get to 101 to 150, that's unhealthy for certain sensitive groups. This is true a lot of kids, people with asthma, the elderly, young children, babies, for example. When you get to 151, then it's just unhealthy for everyone, and so on and so on and so on. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Uh, Kind of a cool thing here. It talks about the number of days, changes in number of days with air quality greater than 100. So for example, in 1991, Atlanta had 23 days with an AQI, air quality index, greater than 100. Okay, which again, if you remember, is unhealthy for sensitive groups. In 1998, it went up 20 more days. Crazy. But if you look through the rest of these though, like Boston went down, Chicago went down, Detroit went down. Houston, roughly the same. Indianapolis went up a week. But look at Los Angeles. It went down drastically. So what caused these changes? What made it go down so much more? There's probably numerous reasons. But within that 7-year span, it could have been that, different requirements were put on factories, or different factories might have shut down, and that could have impacted it. There's numerous other reasons. One of the big things they talked about is natural versus anthropogenic air pollution. What's the difference? Well, nature does create air pollution. For example, forest and grassland fires creates massive amounts of CO2 and chlorinated organic compounds. Volcanic eruptions make huge amounts of sulfuric acid, gaseous sulfuric acid, mercury vapor, ash, hydrochloric acid, sulfur dioxide. Volcanic eruptions are huge pollutants, especially during huge eruptions. Another one, we'll talk about hydrocarbons later, but coniferous and deciduous forests make large amounts of hydrocarbons like methane. Cows, when cows poop, that's large amount of methane. So cattle farms, that's large amounts of methane there. Termites, when they eat the wood, produce large amounts of methane. That's all nature. We can't really control nature. Anthropogenic air pollution is pollution that's attributed to human activity. It's pollution that humans have caused, such as internal combustion engines. That's your car. Fossil fuel power plants, okay, coal power plants, smelt metal factories, petroleum refineries, oil refineries, controlled burning, deforestation. So when we're cutting down trees for whatever reason, we're burning what's left over, we're doing that. We're creating the air pollution. So again, natural is natural, and anthropogenic means humans caused it. Humans have created this type of air pollution. Going back to the hydrocarbons, hydrocarbons are just, again, I think we've talked about before back in chapter 2, but they're molecules that contain only hydrogen and carbon, such as methane, butane, propane, etc. Anthropogenic sources for hydrocarbons include industrial solvents, evaporation gasoline, Okay, the exhaust from your car, for example. In order to help kind of regulate this, they redesigned gas nozzles a long time ago so that when you pour gas into your car, gasoline's not evaporating into the air. Cars have what are known as catalytic converters. These catalytic converters remove a vast majority of the carbon monoxide and the nitrogen dioxide, all the nitrogen oxides, because the X means it could be numerous different kinds of oxides. It could be NO3, NO2, whatever, from the exhaust. So that kind of helps clean the air so that the exhausts aren't as dirty. You might have heard of e-checks. They're emission checks for your car. Certain cars have to have e-checks to see whether or not they give off certain emissions. If they give off too much pollutants, then not technically they have to get rid of the car. You can't have that car anymore on the road. Indoor air pollution also is a big issue. So this is stuff in your house. I was watching a commercial for filters, air filters, and they're talking about how the air inside your house could be 5 times more dangerous, 5 times more dangerous than outside air. And a lot of that deals with, especially if you have a gas furnace or a gas stove. So gas ranges and kerosene heaters, nitrogen oxides, those produce hydrocarbons that fill up in the air. Foam insulation, fiberboard, particle board, formaldehyde stuff. If you have, fake hardwood in your house, that kind of stuff. If you have smokers in your house, cigarette smoke has 40 different kinds of carcinogenics, 40 different kinds of things that cause cancer. Carbon monoxide, radon, which is usually sometimes in the basement. Growing up, I used to hear about radon all the time. It's not so much, they don't really hear about much anymore, but radon is a poisonless, or not poisonless, well, it's definitely poisonous. It's a colorless, odorless gas, radioactive gas, usually found in the basement. Just some more sources, like, okay, where can I find air pollution inside, indoor air pollution? Floor tiles have asbestos. Pets, pet dander, dust. There's a lot of people who are allergic to pets. Brand new carpet. I was reading, not reading, but watching some news stories a while ago about the dangers of brand new carpet because it has styrene, which is a pollutant. People love that smell. New car, when people buy a brand new car, that new car smell, that's actually a pollutant. Different things like that. So these are just examples of different indoor sources and the kind of pollutants they're given off here. So again, indoor air can be much more dangerous than outdoor air unless you have good filters. If you have like an AC unit, usually those have filters, so you have to change every so often so that so it's not just blowing bad, dirty air into the house. Here goes again with the radon gas. Again, it's colorless, odorless, tasteless. It's radioactive. You never even know it's there. You basically have to buy a radon detector to even know if you have radon gas being leaked into your basement. Okay, it's radioactive. I mean, it really is dangerous. It has been shown to cause lung cancer for extended if you inhale it for way too long. But again, not many places have radon. I mean, like I said, that's one of those things that they used to check a while back, but they really don't do it anymore just because, I mean, it's still a possibility, but most places have checked for radon in houses. So when you get a house inspection, they usually do that. So you never really have to worry about radon gas anymore. And that's it for pollution for right now. And then we're going to talk more about it during class.